they classify white people in that racist bucket, even though I know a lot of white people, they're not racist.
Right.
It's almost weird because like it anytime I have a white friend and I make some sort of racial joke, it gets so awkward. Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, you hear they're fighting?
Yes.
Bro, that's gonna be fucking crazy.
Speaking of artificial intelligence, recently I happened to come across a page. They took what we talked about in like episode 7 or 8.
Episode 7 or 8. What are you talking about?
Influencer. Like we were talking about where AI, like the AI girlfriend and everything of that nature.
David, when we in post, can you put that like a clip in where I'm like, yo, if you want to make money, you want to make money with AI, do AI girlfriends? Because we did talk about this.
Right, we talked about it. So there's a level of understanding that she has an understanding of the difference between herself and then other women or something of that nature. Because you don't want to set up a situation where, okay, you're raising your daughter, but she's so, like, her only concept of the male existence is only you. So she is oblivious of, like, the trash dudes that's out there. So when she encounters them, she doesn't know how to process the stuff.
I'm 100% gonna, like, insult dudes. I'm gonna like be like, baby, this is a brokey. You don't want these types of men. Because you see how you live in a nice house, you and mommy have a nice house, and you get to go on vacations, and you get to hang out and play with mommy. If you're with a brokey, you don't get to do that. Mommy, imagine mommy not ever being home. Imagine mommy being gone 12 hours a day because you're with a brokey. So,
he's a real hard, honest man of integrity. He just doesn't have millions. And he'll respect it.
But then again, when does that conversation happen? Where you introduce the brokey?
I don't know if I introduced the brokey, but I think it's just in the demeanor. Right,
okay. That's where I think it's a little different.
Because I think if your daughter sees me, it's a different of just me being rich. I think the trait I would value that she values more is hardworking. Right. If she sees me working super hard and always exhausted, that's a great trait because now she's going to look for a man that's always exhausted,
driven,
that works hard.
ambitious.
Exactly.
But you also have to have results.
It's not just rich. It's also like working hard, driven, et cetera, et cetera.
Because there's certain intangibles that those who are successful have that you can identify. However, what a lot of people end up falling into, and primarily women they find themselves here, is when they try to, date off of potential. Yeah. So then, but the issue is they don't recognize what the actual true drive, ambition looks like to a certain degree, because you can have somebody who is ambitiously lazy. Right. So then you can have small spurts of where, you're in a situation where you're on go mode, but that's only 2 days out of the week, and the other 5 you're kind of lounging around.
And people don't realize the effect that parents have on their children, whether it is or it isn't intentionally. So a great example, like one thing I would always say is, like, if a girl has a bad relationship with her father, treat her like shit, she's gonna like you. She's gonna be attracted to you if you treat her like shit. Yep. It's super weird. But if a girl has a good relationship with her father, be nice to her, and that's how she'll like you.
It's a very interesting dynamic, isn't it?
People always say, oh, girls like assholes. If you're mean to girls, they're gonna like you. If you're mean to girls, they're gonna like you. That's not the case. It just depends on how the child was raised. So, like, yeah, it works if a girl has daddy issues, a dad that was missing. If a guy's like an asshole to her, she's gonna like look for that validation in that man because her father left, so she's gonna be like, well, I need to make sure this one doesn't leave, even though he's an asshole to me. Right.
And again, there are exceptions to the rule, because I know there's gonna be, there's exceptions to I know somebody. Everybody's always, I know about ism.
There's a lot of different variables, but for the most part,
the exception doesn't dispel the rule, and that's why on average there's a ongoing understanding of, hey, if I treat her like shit, she'll like me more. Hence why there's always this large stigma of girls who go after the bad boy because he's confident.
The father's absent. Even if the father's there, if the father's still like absent emotionally from the daughter's life, that daughter's not going to get that validation from the father. They're going to look for it in other men. So if you're a dad that's nice to your daughter, that's good to your daughter, and then she's going to like dudes that are like nice to her as well, right? So I think the reflection shows. So for my job as a father is to be not only a financial provider for her so she can understand the dynamic, but also to be nice and care for her emotions.
You want to instill the character so she has an understanding of who she should look for.
When she looks for men in the future, it's like, oh, I want a guy that's nice, that treats me right, that provides for me, that takes care of all this stuff. And that's also
to have the understanding of what comes with that. Because I think that if she understands the role of your position as a father, but also a provider, of how you treat, her mom, your wife, how you treat those who are around you, to where you're not looking down on individuals. I think that also plays a role as well. Like if you treat the janitor the same way you treat a CEO, she sees that particular kind of character. To a certain degree, there'll be an understanding of, hey, you want to be with somebody who's moving like that. I love that you said that.
So you treat the janitor the same as you treat the CEO.
Right.
In a weird way, I treat the janitor better. Here's why. This is the way I see it. I know it sounds weird, but like I always treat people that are below me better than the people that are above me. I'm very courteous to everyone. I'm very nice to everyone. But the way I see it is
below from a financial perspective.
Financial perspective, career perspective, like what society would deem as like, how you said the janitor.
Blue collar, white collar versus,
like you treat the janitor same as the CEO.
Got you.
I always think you treat people, the janitor, better. Because the universe tries to find equilibrium. I tweeted something the other day, and it was pretty much whenever I'm anxious, whenever I'm a little bit lost, whenever I'm feeling like fearful, because these are normal human emotions, my go-to is always give money away.
Right.
The reason being, this is kind of like a spiritual belief of mine, but like the universe always tries to find equilibrium. So sometimes you're just giving too much, and it's like trying to knock you down, and because it can't knock you down, it gives you these feelings of fear, anxiety, so you can fuck something up. So for me, I'm just like, let me just give some money away. Let me just tip this waiter $100. Let me just give this person a crazy tip. Let me give this parking attendant $50. Because then like, the universe finds balance. It's kind of like, oh, you're too high, and you kind of spread it a little bit, and then you get balance that way. So I always tend to treat the janitor nicer than the CEO, because CEO is blessed already.
Right.
God has blessed this person already.
Right.
The fuck that I need to bless him for. But a janitor, it's like, you don't have the same blessings, and maybe some of it is your doing, but let me at least give you this so I can feel better about myself. It's almost like like I'm giving selfishly.
Right. Right. It's because it's more in that particular case, it seems as if the giving is more about you than them.
Yes.
So it's almost like you're trying to, I guess, balance out karma.
I'm trying to feel better for exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So it's not necessarily like an Indian giver who's giving in order to get something in return from the other person.
Crazy.
Hey, that's the terminology for it. I don't even know if there's a new terminology for it. Is there a new terminology for Indian giver? Are we canceling the terminology for Indian giver?
Indian giver is crazy.
What would selfish giver? I'm not too sure, but one way or another.
How is it Indian synonymous with selfish?
I don't know, because the term when I first learned it was Indian giver.
Have you seen all the shit that's happening in India lately?
Oh yeah, it's bad. They got terrible PR right now.
They just be raping. India got the worst PR team.
Yeah, it's not good at all. There was a lady who was live streaming and then just started getting humped. Like it was bad, and it was but it's bad.
Do you think that's a cultural thing? Do you think because I know every culture has a different approach to women, to business, to life. Right. You see it all the time. I go to different countries. They all have different approaches. Like America, we have a very hard, excellence, hard work culture. You go somewhere else, you go Europe, they're chill, bro. They're just mellow.
Right.
Siesta, take an hour break during the day. They don't be working like that. Do you think in India they just have a culture of show bub? Show pussy. Show bubs, please.
Because the moral, what one would consider the moral standard changes depending on where you are.
Can you check the ratio of men to women in India?
Yeah, I think it should be more women than men.
If it's more women, why are they all fucking why all the dude? Because all of the memes you see.
Yeah.
And I hate to be racist because that's not what this is, but the memes you see, it's like, oh, there's a meme, be nice to your girl, otherwise some Indian man will. And it's like the Indian man saying, you're the most beautiful, show bubs, please.
Oh, well.
Show bubs, please.
I guess, and then depends on what their exposure may be.
And then, it's not everything. I'm sure there's a lot of Indian guys that are married and they have responsibilities.
Right. Because it's different, everywhere different, it's different culturally for their upbringing, for everything.
All of the Indian people I meet are fucking super smart.
Right.
Software engineers, doctors, businessmen. They're the wealthiest. They're the wealthiest. Indian is actually the wealthiest race in the United States.
Really? More than Asians?
Well, they're Asian. So they
are.
Put the number up.
Right.
They drive that
they've snuck
average
into that demographic.
They drive that number up. But then you also see the terrible PR, and I'm curious where that comes from.
The percentage is female population is 48.42% compared to 51.58% males.
So,
interesting.
Because it's pretty equal, why does that happen in India?
Could it be because it now makes me wonder if that's the same response that happens to Indian women, or is it that you're traveling from elsewhere?
So you're saying it happens to Indian women,
Could it
but just
be
because
primarily foreigner women who enter? Could there be like a fascination? Like, let's say if it was a
they see like a white woman, they're like,
like a white woman or a black woman who comes, and then I don't know. It's very interesting. Or it could be a situation where the only videos that we saw was of the criminal, Indian men, to where this isn't the standalone
representation. It's like the Haitian barbecue thing.
Kind of, yeah. So you see the criminal kind of element, and then because it's plastered all across social media, you have this idea of, this is what the standard is when it's not.
I think people need to classify people, and because of that, because think about it, your brain needs to conserve energy, so they automatically jump to like the classify. Let me just classify it as this person, right? And to the point where it's like you say, white people are racist. They classify white people in that racist bucket, even though I know a lot of white people, they're not racist. Right. It's almost weird because anytime I have a white friend and I make some sort of racial joke, it gets so awkward. It gets so awkward because I have no fucking filter. I'll go, because it's fine. Like, obviously I'm not racist. I have friends of every color.
That's what a racist would say.
My best friend's black, but my best friend's black. No, but it's true. Like, I joke, everyone can get the heat. These jokes are for everybody. Everyone can get the heat. But for some reason, when I'm with a white friend and I make a joke about anything, the tension, you can cut through it with a fucking knife because
we've been cultured to where you can't, you specifically can't make that joke. You're not allowed to, do it. So that at that point, it just becomes taboo because they're kind of walking on eggshells naturally. And what's interesting is if you happen to find somebody who's no filter, and then you find a white person who's no filter, they're able to, I guess, mesh and be cool. So it works. But I guess it all comes down to context, because ultimately with racism is more associated with the power dynamic. I think across the board, if it's just verbal, everything is fair game to where anybody can be racist. But I think if there's now influence and there's the power dynamic to where whether it's financial or certain sort of situation to where you can control that's where the true racism is. I think it's no longer what it used to be.
It's weird because people almost get mad. Like Lil Wayne said some shit, and maybe because Lil Wayne, but Lil Wayne's actually, I've watched some Lil Wayne interviews. He's actually really reformed a lot. He's not like this ignorant rapper that people see Lil Wayne back in the day. They think ignorant rapper. Right. Because they said whatever, white privilege. What white privilege? I'm black and I got privilege. And people were hating him for that.
Right. Because I always made an argument with privilege is earned by somebody has to earn that. Like, for example, if you take a look at Beyonce and Jay-Z, their children are privileged. So although we may share the same, skin tone, we're in a situation to where they can get more access to way more things than I could, despite us both sharing, the same commonality with how we look. But you're privileged because your parents have now put you in a different, tax bracket. And then judging by how you navigate your life, you can continue to change said influence and your privilege. But I think most people, they view it on the base scale to where, we're all the same despite the difference. I think most people in the country, it's more of a class issue than it is with a race issue.
It is a class issue.
But, it's a slippery slope because we look at the exceptions.
When people get to the top, color don't matter no more. Right? Doesn't matter if you're a black billionaire or white billionaire, you sit there, you laugh at the poor people. That's literally what it is.
Exactly.
They don't care that, there's no billionaire that's I'm a racist white billionaire. Fuck black people, because no,
there are some. I mean, Donald, but of course, the exception doesn't make the rule.
It goes away. Right. In the same way that there could be a black billionaire that's let's put the white people down. For the most part though, people at the top, they're sitting together in their fucking sky palace. Right. Talking about what's happening at the bottom, and it's that's crazy. Black people, white people, it doesn't matter what color. But the second that you get poor, the more poor you get, the more deprived you get of resources. That's where all the fucking craziness starts. That's where all the racial tension happens.
Exactly, because there's a lot of anger, not only because of your situation, but then you can see other individuals who are thriving. If you were to go through a all-black suburb, or you go through an all-Asian suburb, or you go through an all-white suburb, and then you go to a trailer park situation, and you take whether it be the completely down bad whites or the completely down bad Asians, the very few of them, as the stigma is, where there's none who's struggling apparently, the down bad blacks, the down bad Indians, whatever, and you bring them to their demographics utopia.
Yeah.
There's going to be some of those individuals who are inspired, and then others who are completely angered and resentful, like, oh, wait a minute, how can we both be the same? You don't feel like you should give back. I shouldn't be at the... So there can be a bit of entitlement that exists there as well.
I think also what it is, it's like
varies.
Scarcity breeds anger.
Right.
And ignorance.
Right.
Because think about it. If we're there together in the same neighborhood, one piece of bread, me or you eats, we have an inherent distrust and hate for each other.
It's a dog eat dog, right?
Because now it's kind of like, he's gonna fucking eat the bread. I better eat that before he eats that, otherwise none of us are getting it.
Yeah.
And it's almost like bred into you. Versus, we're two rich guys, like, bro, there's fucking 100 pieces of bread. Let's just, you want one, take one. If I want one, I'll take one.
Right.
That level of like fear, anger, distrust is not there. But it's bred in like poverty, because now everyone's fucking fighting.
Right, because it's a matter of survival.
Because they assume that there's only one piece, when in reality, behind the curtain, there's 100 pieces, but you're fucking fighting for the one piece.
Right.
I think in order to fix that, people just got to make money. They got to get out. They got to make money.
And not only that, if you work together and put all of the minds together, because even with resource, like when we talk about family, and it's mind-boggling to me, because let's just say if everybody in the family were to put their minds together and then you pool all of your resources. So if it's 10 people who are all making $40,000 a year, instead of looking at it from an individualistic aspect, if we all pool our money together, we no longer make $400,000. We make $400,000 collectively. Yeah. Let's put this together to go and work and build. But more people want to be, you know, individualistic and isolated. Now, granted, if you try to partner with the wrong people, you'll get fucked.
I think it's the human condition.
Naturally, because
human beings are naturally like.
If we were more together as a people, I think, and that's just across the board, not just, you know, isolated by race. I think we wouldn't have as much people who are, whether it's impoverished, whether it's, you know, just angry kind of situation. We would eliminate a shit ton of problems, but we're so isolated now. It's bizarre. Now, granted, some people blame like capitalism because it's a battle towards the top. But I think if you play the capitalism game the right way, then you kind of eliminate the vast majority of the problems that it appears to bring on the surface. That's a natural thing, though, because people say, "Oh, capitalism." The entire planet has capitalism. It doesn't matter where you look. Right.
You could look in fucking, I don't know, in Africa, right? The entire continent of Africa. There's people at the top. There's people at the bottom. The rulers, the politicians, the overlords. They have all the fucking money, and everyone else living in poverty. Right. You look anywhere across the world.
There's always going to be those who have resources and those who don't.
There's a level of the people that are winning, that are working hard, that are ascending to the top, and the people at the bottom that are struggling because of it. Yeah. One big thing I think, in order to fix the problem, and again, the human nature is everyone's going to look out for themselves, and because of that, you can't really fight human nature. The one big thing I think you do to fix the problem is you almost have to like raise the floor. So if you raise the floor enough to the point, like if you look at it,
there's a standard.
The floor in a third world country, like I don't know if these are third world countries, but in like, let's say a country in Africa or Brazil or the Philippines, the floor is a lot lower. People are just fucking homeless.
Right.
The floor here in the United States is like the homeless people here get fucking $500 a month from the government. You know, like that's people's salary, working people's salary in other countries.
Elsewhere,
you just raise the floor high enough to the point that like, okay, because here's what I think. I think in the direction we go, the only way to fix it, if you have a big enough divide, country goes to shit, because now it's like the top 10% and then the bottom people. Right. At the bottom, it's a big fucking war. Where now
we almost have like where the middle class is damn near upper lower class.
Exactly. So that doesn't work, because eventually there's a revolution. You overthrow the oppressors. The only way to do it is you get people that get really fucking rich. Yep. And then at that point, you just pay a stipend to the people at the bottom, so they're not all the way at the bottom.
But then you would still, because
universal basic income, right?
Right.
Like that's it's a weird one, because I was very anti that, because I was like, fuck that, then no one's gonna work. Who cares if no one works as long as the productive people work? Right. You know, because here's the thing, they're not gonna work anyway. Fucking just let them have their house, let them have their food, make sure they're not homeless, and let the big boys go.
But then it benefits the productive individual. There would be a bit of benefits to where they would get that. But then those who are, whether it be entitled or just unwilling, the lazy would get a benefit off, because I think naturally there's going to be a bit of frustration, and that's why I think with socialism will never work, is because those who actually put in the work, you grind. If I was doing way more than you do, and let's just say if I'm doing either the bare minimum or not even the bare minimum, but we both get the same result, naturally naturally there'd be an anger that's there.
Yeah.
Because it's only a matter of time before because you're going to look over like, wait a minute, this ain't right.
Money from that guy.
No,
right,
so then they'd be
exactly.
like, I could just do. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's kind of like they would have to find a way to get that money.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they'd be like, oh, like I'm making 1,000. Because during the pandemic,
yeah,
there was a point where there was so many like stimulus, like
PPP loans.
PPP loans. There was a way that you could not work and make more money.
Yeah.
Unemployment.
Yeah.
You could not work and make more money than you would if you were at a job.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's a delicate balance, right? So
Right.
I think in order to do that, it almost has to be like a big enough gap to the point where it's like, okay, if people are making, it would have to be to a point where jobs under 10 grand a month would be useless. And your stipend is like let's say you get $1,500 a month from the government, that's universal basic income. But any job under $10,000 a month is obsolete. And getting there is tricky, but let's say AI could do it. So we no longer need, I don't know, people like servers or busboys or cashiers because AI does all of it. Or
influencers at that point.
Influencers are never going to go away, bro.
We'll go there next, but just to close on
influencers are never going to go away, bro.
Right. Well, yeah, I don't think they will either. But just to close on like the situation with the capitalism and then with the money, I think there's always going to be a situation where people lose, and naturally, morally, just to tie in even with like how the global moral level is different country by country, continent to continent. I think there's a level of uncomfortability with the fact that people are going to lose, and losing is something that is so catastrophic because it's famine, it's death.
Yeah.
It's a ton of different things, and you almost have to be comfortable with the fact of, so those people losing.
If you make the losing like, oh, you're losing is you don't have a nice place, you're losing is you get a house and you get food. If that's losing, I think it'll soften the blow a little bit. It just,
right. But then unfortunately, it's just not realistic to where it's.
Here's kind of a reason why I say that, because the difference in between the people that are broke and the people that are rich is so fucking huge. You're never going to catch up. It's exponential. It's years of education stacked on top of years of capital, stacked on top of years of everything. So in order for these people that are all the way at the bottom to catch up, they have to so imagine you're running a race, right?
Yeah, it's a lot. You're
running a marathon.
Yeah.
But how far is a marathon?
Marathon, 26.2 miles.
26.2 miles. So someone starts at the 20-mile marker, and you're starting at the beginning. You have a 20-mile gap to catch up.
Yeah.
99.9% of people are not going to finish the marathon like that.
Right, and let alone you have the willingness to run the race, the capability to finish the race, and then the the mindset to even want to keep going. Like, it's one thing to be capable of finishing, it's another thing to even want to finish, because it's almost like it's similar with the marathon. If you was to make it a bit more simplistic per se, let's just say it's a 100-meter race for somebody, and then it's a 1,600-meter, steeplechase for somebody else. Yeah. But then there are those who look at it like, all right, I'll conquer this challenge and have the resolve to make it to the end. And there's others like, well, this is unfair, despite the fact that two people can be dealt the same hand. One person will overcome, the other person will succumb to, the situation. So it's one of those situations where truly I don't think it's something that can be fixed without somebody having to take the L.
Here's one piece, because I was going to say this last podcast, but I didn't talk about it. But like how these buildings work, we were talking about buying buildings, right? A person doesn't even, I'm convinced there's people that are living in poverty that don't even know how this works. Right. They assume that these just go up. They don't think about how does this go up, who pays for it, what's the process of it going up. They're not curious enough to even do the research. Because there's different ways buildings go up. All these buildings, some of these are corporate, some of these get rented out, some of these are owned by big corporations that rent them out. Stuff like this, did you know that this is actually like a money grab made by developers? These are all condominiums.
Right.
So these are not apartments, these are condominiums. A developer buys the land, they pay to build it. So let's say it's a $100 million investment in total to set this up. Then they sell each individual unit individually. So now you have you build it, you drop 150 million to build it, you sell it for 300 million right away.
Right.
So that's how that would work. There's other ones where they put 100 million and they get rental income from it. So with these, they're almost just like a big money grab. Hey, I build it, it's in a prime location, people are gonna buy them, they buy them, my wife is walking through the back. But yeah, they build it, they sell it, it takes, in 2 years, they clear $100 million profit.
Right.
And because of that gap, people don't think about that. They don't realize how that works. They don't realize what goes into like setting that up. The skill gap is just crazy, bro.
Right. It's very interesting because a lot of times people don't recognize, not only how things work, but then also with something like this, it's attainable on a smaller level as you build. But then if you want to go more macro, this is something that you would go and grab, because even you can, have partners or something. You can join into deals like that. I at first, I didn't know, like with investing into like a project for a building, that you can just take like a small percentage and invest in. I had no clue of that. Like I thought you had to be there from the beginning, or you had to be like a more majority kind of investor. So I thought like there was a limit to whatever the case is, but I never really went out of my way to go do the research. It was just on. So I just assumed. So that's where my ignorance was.
The skill gap. Right. So sorry, completely random. Knowledge and the skill gap. Jake Paul, Mike Tyson. You hear they're fighting?
Yes.
Bro. That's going to be fucking crazy. What are your thoughts just off bat? Like Jake Paul, Mike Tyson. I saw that announcement and I was like, okay, there's no fucking way. Someone told me, I was with someone, they're like, yo, you hear that Jake Paul, Mike Tyson are fighting?
Right.
I'm like, what the hell?
It's similar to because it's going to be an exhibition, as always, similar to what happened with Floyd and Logan Paul.
Okay.
Or with Roy Jones and Mike Tyson. But my biggest issue that I have with it is not on Mike Tyson's end, because he's at the point in his career, in his life, to where you can do these exhibition type of situations as a cash grab, and it's great. My problem is with Jake Paul trying to be taken, or I should say viewed as a legitimate boxer, and you keep fighting these, senior citizen retirees.
Yeah, but it's Mike Tyson.
No, it is, but that's the thing where you look at it like, yo, this is Iron Mike.
Do you remember we talked about this in the podcast?
Right.
This is like episode 5 or something.
Way earlier with the celebrity boxer.
How old would Mike Tyson have to be for you to beat him in a fight? Because to this day, Mike Tyson would beat my ass.
Absolutely.
At my 170 pounds, he's still 200 something.
Yeah.
He would still beat my ass.
He's probably like 210, 220.
And because of that skill gap, because I understand how it works. I've boxed dudes that are fucking Logan Paul, Mayweather. Logan Paul was like freaking
6'2",
yeah, like
maybe
6'2", like 200 something pounds.
210,
big guy.
180.
Mayweather's like 150.
Right.
The fact that Logan Paul couldn't hit him shows you the skill gap.
Right.
So I've boxed guys that are way bigger than me, work them because of that skill gap. So I can only imagine, like, there's levels to this shit. Mike Tyson's probably, he's at the top. Right. Muhammad Ali was even like, yo, I'm scared of this guy, pointing to Mike Tyson.
Yeah, but the thing with Tyson is, though, when you consider his prime, you're looking at age 18 to 30, because he became champion at age 20, so that was in 86. His last time in which he was incredibly like dangerous is what, 2000?
Yeah.
So that would put him at what, 34, around that area, and then here you are years upon years after retirement, and he's so like in the point to where you're not a legitimate threat, but you still have the mystique. You
saw him against Roy Jones.
He looked sharp or whatever. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say so much of worked. I think it was. I believe that he won, although there was no winner. No, he won, but Roy Jones he's no slouch either.
But right after the announcer, the commentator went up to Roy Jones like, hey, how do you feel? Are you okay?
Right.
And Mike Tyson goes, I'm fucking older than him. Why no one ask if I'm okay?
Right.
Because the fact that Mike whooped him like that, it's like they're asking if the other guy's okay. It's like, are you okay?
Yeah.
But Mike's like, whoa, no one's gonna ask me.
Roy Jones, I wouldn't necessarily go as far to make it seem as if homie didn't stand no particular chance. I do believe that he lost. If you were to actually have a victor, then Mike Tyson did win the fight. But my biggest concern with a situation like this is, there's no knock on Mike's legacy if in the event Jake Paul were to win the fight, because you're a 57-year-old man. My issue is, as I stated prior, with Jake wanting to be viewed as a legitimate boxer, you keep fighting non-boxers.
Well, so here's the thing. I think with Jake, he's in a weird position because no matter what he does, people are going to talk shit to him.
And he's a hell of a goddamn ticket.
Here's the thing. He fought Anderson Silva, beat Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., decorated boxer. Anderson Silva whooped him, right? Jake Paul beats Anderson Silva. They're like, oh, but he's a retired MMA fighter. He's old. So it's almost like they take credit away from Jake no matter what he does. So now he's been boxing because of this. He's like, fuck it, I'm going to stop doing the MMA fighters. He's been boxing like boxers, Golden Glove guys.
Yeah, like he fought Tommy Fury, lost that one.
Well, no, he fought 2 other boxers that won Golden Gloves.
two other ones. But then I think the guy who he recently had beat was like 30. I don't want to like throw age, like, oh, well, he's 36, he's past his prime or whatever. But I think the thing with Jake is, because of how he speaks of himself, you would assume, oh, well, he's on the same, like he views himself with the Tyson Furies.
I hate to be the guy defending the Jake Paul because I think he just wants people to take him seriously. And this is the way I would look at it.
I do believe he's a very capable boxer.
Floyd Mayweather, who was his first 5 opponents?
Nobody can tell.
No, Canelo, first 5 opponents. Nobody knows these guys.
Nobody knows these guys.
So he was fighting, like they were fighting these same type of people.
Right. But I think it's just a marketability one, because Jake Paul is able to generate so much money just off of his name alone going into these fights. But then I think the difference is in all of the different, like when you look at a Floyd Mayweather, when you look at a Mike Tyson, when you look at a Muhammad Ali, all of those guys in their ascension, they had to work their way towards having the, notoriety, to making that amount of money, and also the reception of being taken seriously to where they can say, I'm the best or whatever. Jake Paul immediately straight out the gate was like, yo, I'm on this tier, I'm over here. Yeah, but and then with Logan, he's like, man, Logan beat Floyd or whatever. And anybody with a brain can see it and say, hey, wait a minute.
He walked that back. I think Jake, he's a younger brother. Like I would hope if I ever box Floyd Mayweather, my brother's in there. Doesn't matter.
Oh, absolutely. You'd want to be like, yo, he's doing. Yeah, but then the thing is, like, do you really believe that? Because of course you can big it up and kind of sell it, to yourself, because it's going to bring in more eyes, bring in more money. Right. But I think my only thing with Jake is, and I don't even come off like I'm a hater of Jake, because I appreciate what he's doing as it pertains to, being able to bring in, generate that much money, pivot from what he was doing with the Team 10 and the YouTube and all the other stuff to now going in boxing. But I think for him, although this is the best way to make a mass amount of money is fight these guys, but if you actually want to be a world champion, this ain't the way to do it.
This is the way I look at it, right? I don't like when people say Jake's not a real fighter. He's a real fighter. It's undeniable. It doesn't matter if he's fighting MMA guys. MMA guys can still fucking scrap. Doesn't matter if you're just throwing hands. Doesn't matter, like, these guys can fucking fight. I guarantee you put any of those guys that he's fought in the ring with anyone else, they hurt people.
Yeah, they probably
Diaz looked like garbage.
So, but I think with Jake,
and the expertise, depending on what it is that they fight.
He needs to fight like a boxer, but the issue, he's in a tricky position, because if I'm running a business and I want to make money, who am I fighting? I'm fighting the guys with the biggest names.
Exactly.
So who's a boxer with a big name? There's no boxers with a big name that are in Jake's division. Canelo, that's the only one.
And that's where the issue exists, because I'm looking at it from the perspective of, I understand from a business side of why you would fight all of these retirees and make as much money. Because if you're Jake Paul, and I want to fight somebody else who's established, and people can look at the card and be like, yo, he's actually fighting somebody. Because Jake Paul, despite not having the experience of like a Canelo or whatever, he demands the attention that a Canelo does.
Right.
So that's where it's a weird dichotomy. That's the only reason why my concern, or I should say my critique of Jake Paul, is you can't necessarily say you're on that elk or your trajectory is that of a world champion, because you are fighting a bunch of guys who have a name.
But why would the trajectory be the same if he's knocking dudes out in his freaking like 10th fight?
Like for example, when you fight like a Ben Askren. Ben Askren is a sensational wrestler. But he's a wrestler.
But if you notice, that was like his second or third fight.
Like second or third fight. Up in levels. You fight a Nate Robinson, retired NBA player. You fight Ben Askren. You fight Tyron Woodley twice. Woodley started pulling his punches. Then he ended up getting knocked the fuck out. Then you go and you fight a bunch of other people. Like when he was fighting against Tommy Fury, that was a perfect situation.
I think he won that fight, by the way.
He lost.
No. I don't think he won that fight. I think he cleanly lost that one. I think it was his most competitive.
Tommy Fury too. I think there's a lot of politics. I think there's a lot of politics in that family of the boxing family. I think Francis Ngannou beat Tyson Fury.
I do agree with that one.
I think Jake Paul beat Tommy Fury. And I think KSI beat Tommy Fury also. Because the way you score boxing,
I say KSI beat Tommy Fury, but I don't think.
You get a knockdown, you get a point deduction. That point goes off. So that means Tommy Fury would have to have a 10-8 round with no knockdowns. It's fucking crazy, bro. So like for the KSI, I think KSI beat Tommy Fury. I think Jake Paul also beat Tommy Fury. I think Francis Ngannou beat Tyson Fury, but I think boxing politics.
Yeah, I agree with Francis beating Tyson and KSI beating Tommy, because it was incredibly close. And watching it, I said, you know what? If KSI won, I got no issues. But with the Jake Paul and Tommy Fury, although it was relatively close, I lean more towards Tommy. I'd probably have to go back and watch the fight, but at the time, I lean more towards Tommy. But overall, with Jake and Tyson, I'm just going to be very curious what the reception will be at the conclusion of the fight, because as dangerous as Tyson was at his peak, he's no longer that. So I don't view it through that lens, because you watch Tyson train, he's throwing bombs.
Yeah.
So you're sitting there like, yo, all he has to do is just connect. And then if Jake loses, it's like, well, he's fucking Mike Tyson. So it doesn't matter how old. But you have to take into account, this isn't Mike in his prime. This is Mike 30 years later.
What I don't like is the side switching, because I've seen this from an example, right? Like, let's say I'm not successful. I'm like, I'm gonna start a business, I'm gonna become successful. People are like, you're delusional, you're an idiot.
Right.
But then the second you get rich and you make money, then it's like, okay, give me my credit, I did it. They're like, oh no, but you're a fucking scammer and you're taking money, you don't care about poor people. It's like, no matter what, you can't win.
He's in exactly.
So Jake Paul, I hate that side switching, because
it's a tough situation for him.
If he knocks him out, you knocked out a senior citizen.
Exactly.
But if he gets knocked out, he's like, oh, well, you lost to an old man.
Exactly.
No matter what, it's a lose-lose for him.
Exactly.
And I hate that, because people don't like. So which one is he? Is he an old man?
Yeah.
Or is he?
I'm weighing all different options of what happens, because if you beat, as you said, if you beat Tyson, you beat an old Tyson. He's no longer what he was. You get knocked out, well, it's Mike Tyson, right? If it's a close fight, that's great, but then at the same time, he's still fucking 57.
Yeah, you're like, oh, how can you not take out Tyson?
That's why I think for Jake, if you want to be viewed, because if it's about money, I'm all for it.
I mean, it's a Netflix fucking thing, bro. That's crazy.
Exactly. My only issue that I have with Jake is, if you truly want to be a world champion, you got to just go beat up all the fucking box. Fuck who is this person, whatever. You run through the entire goddamn division. You beat everybody, because you've already made enough money to where if you want to keep it about boxing in and of itself,
that's what he's been doing. He's been fighting Golden Gloves guys. They won Golden Gloves. You can't take away the fact that they won a Golden Glove.
You can't take that away.
Now they're a little older, but still, like they might be trash cans or journeymen.
That's the thing. That's the thing. It's like he
did those fights for free. It was like for free on ESPN.
And that's where I can give him credit. But then the downside is, you want to be the champion, you want to at least be able to be taken seriously in that realm, just fucking wipe the floor with everybody. You're not like the regular average fighter. You've got the money, so you don't need it. I understand you don't want to waste your time fighting a bunch of tomato cans or people who nobody knows who the fuck they are, which I get that from a business perspective. But then the only downside is, truly, and it's not to be accepted by the casual, fuck the casual. You should be looking at it as, I want boxing purists to look at me and say, yo, this motherfucker here, he's got it. I think that's who he should truly try to go and attract. But ultimately, I get it from a business perspective. I get it. It's just that he just be fighting these older dudes, man.
Dropping like Mike Tyson's been dropping just training videos.
Right.
Because everyone's like, he's too old. He's doing this. So Mike Tyson's like, well, fuck you guys. Because Mike Tyson, he has that dog in him. Doesn't matter how old he is. He's a killer.
Right.
So he's been dropping videos. He's like day 3. Like he was like, let me pull it up.
Training and stuff. But that it's so weird, because I still look at, I refuse to look at it from the perspective of, yo, this is the same Tyson of old. Like I can't convince myself that's what the case is, because I think that's what the whole attractive.
So he's been dropping training videos every day. The dude still looks fucking scary. He's like,
he does. That's the thing about it. Like, if you watch him in the gym, he still moves with the same intensity, the same ferociousness, and his trainer looks like he's on the verge of death in the midst of every sparring session.
And he still goes like, you still want to fuck with me? Like, look at this, bro.
Right. He still looks good at his age. He still looks good, but he is no longer, the world champion Mike Tyson. Because if you were to put him inside the ring with the heavyweights who are at the peak right now, you put him against like an Anthony Joshua, you put him against like a Tyson Fury, you put him in there against those guys, I don't see him being able to win, but he's fucking Mike Tyson. It's the mystique.
Yeah.
It's the mystique. So overall, I can't say I'm excited for it. I will watch it.
I mean, it's Netflix. It's free.
Right. I will watch it, but it's one of those weird situations where I get it for the cash grab portion of everything.
Well, that's what's happening in sports now. Sports is no longer.
It's no longer what it was.
Boxing, at least, is no longer the best. That's why UFC is doing so well.
It's no longer the best versus the best. Right.
Because UFC, it's like it's a league.
Right.
Because it's owned by one thing. It's a league. Boxing's always independent. So because boxing's always independent, you always get these gimmicky fights. Like boxing is becoming a fucking celebrity boxing.
It is.
That's literally what it is.
Really
that makes more money than like
everybody's going. And if you have a name, like if LeBron James wanted to go fight against let's say LeBron James versus
Kevin Durant.
Yeah, no, LeBron James versus Kevin Durant kind of fight. Yeah, Logan Paul, something like, it's just a crossover situation.
Yeah.
They will make more money from that pay-per-view in the fight than you probably would have made in an entire salary for whatever sports league you came to. And boxers who have been boxing, you could be a motherfucker who's been boxing for 10 years, undefeated, some shit like that. You won't make as much money as somebody else.
Terrence Crawford, that was probably the best boxing match of the past like 5-10 years.
Right.
Pure boxing, that was the best match. I can guarantee it didn't make as much as like Ryan Garcia, Tank Davis.
Nowhere near it.
You have the celebrity ones. Like now all these boxers, like Ryan Garcia, he's going on a fucking...
He's going on a tangent now, yeah.
That mental instability go crazy. It might make him better. I feel like when you fight, you need a little bit of mental instability, but it's helping him sell tickets and promote the fight because it's a fucking clown show now. So it's no longer like... Boxing.
What's the marketability?
It's no longer skill. It's now celebrity boxing. You know, we'll talk about the Ryan Garcia thing. But did you see Francis versus Anthony Joshua?
Oh, geez, it was brutal, man. It was brutal. And you know what's crazy is, and of course, people always do this. Well, you know, if Joshua beat Ngannou, but Ngannou beat Tyson Fury, does that make Joshua the best? It doesn't work like that. Like this isn't what is the butterfly effect that it would be. So it doesn't work like that. Yeah. But Ngannou just. Everything that he did was incredibly telegraphed, and then Joshua's counter for everything was just impeccable. It was beautiful to watch. If you're like a boxer's boxer, beautiful to watch Joshua go out there and freaking take Ngannou apart. And I felt bad for Ngannou.
This is what I think. I think Ngannou, what made him be able to mess with Tyson Fury a little bit was that sloppy. You don't know what's going to happen. If he hits you, he shuts your lights off, you're humiliated.
Right.
That's why Tyson Fury, it made him kind of like aware because like, damn, this guy can hit you, sweep you.
Yeah.
The issue, I think what happened is Ngannou started like getting too boxery. Like, bro, his game plan should have been like, let me just fucking crack this guy. Let him feel me. Because Anthony Joshua, he's been stopped before. Andy Ruiz dropped him. Yeah. So he's been stopped before. Usyk outboxed him. The reason Anthony Joshua is good is he's a boxer.
He's a boxer.
He's a big athletic freak,
but he's a pure boxer.
He's a boxer. If you're Francis Ngannou, scare the fuck out of him. Get rough. Get him him in like a grappling match.
Because it felt like Ngannou was trying to play Joshua's game.
And
that's where he fucked himself. Right, exactly.
Like, bro, you're not going to outbox a dude that's been doing it for fucking 20 years. Get messy. Get inside. Push him around. Hit him hit his arms.
Right.
Like, make it really messy so he could feel that power. Because the second he feels that power, he's not going to want to throw that right hand.
Right. Because Ngannou, I think he should have went in there with reckless abandon.
Yes.
Because even in his MMA career, he's had moments in which I forget who he fought. He fought what was that dude's name?
What did he hit him with?
He was just throwing a shit ton of I forget his last name.
Rosenstrike.
Yeah, Rosenstrike. That's who it was. And he was just and it was so wild to where anybody if you're a fighter and you see somebody doing, and he was hitting Ngannou, but Ngannou was absorbing it all while still going, and then he knocked him the fuck out. So I think what Ngannou should have done is move with reckless abandon.
He has that. He could press your button, knock you out.
Exactly. So like when he caught Overeem with that goddamn uppercut sent from Africa,
that was so funny. I saw that video you did.
He almost sent his damn chin to the ethos. It was bad, but he should have did something like that.
Strength. He went away from it, got caught.
But he made more money in that fight than he made in his entire UFC career. So it's, as you stated, it's getting to a point where it's all celebrity. But overall, with Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, will I watch it? Yes. But I'm not going to go in with the level of excitement of this is going to be an amazing, kind of showcase. That way, I kind of have a low expectation. So hopefully it is, very entertaining.
But it's Mike Tyson. Like, he's going to have skills. I want to see how Jake Paul deals with someone. He's never fought someone with that skill level. Right. That's my thing. Everyone he's fought, MMA striking is very different from boxing, because I did like kickboxing. So when I box now, I could tell who's a boxer, who's not, because I'm weird. It's completely different. That skill of boxing, he's never fought anyone like that.
Right.
So I'm curious to see how he deals with it, because if he does with it from a skill perspective, he does good job. I think it works.
And my only thing with Tyson is how well conditioned will he be? Because I'm assuming this is going to be either 3-round or 5. Well, no, actually, no, not 3 rounds.
Boxing is 4.
5.
It's 4, 6, 8, 10, or 12.
Okay, so I'm curious, or it might be 8, because usually in the situation it will be 8. So I said 3 because I was thinking of fucking MMA was on my mind.
Yeah.
But this will probably be an 8-round type of situation. I'm curious of the gas that Tyson will be able to endure, because with his fight with Roy Jones, he was gassed by the end of it. So I'm very curious of how well conditioned he will be, and moreover, his style. Because I think if he goes on the offensive straight out the gate and he has the gas left to where he doesn't get tired, I'm very curious how Jake will fight. Because if Jake is going to have to be on the defensive, that'll make me say, oh, okay, this is interesting.
On the back, yeah, Jake doesn't really fight off the back foot.
Right. So it's going to be very interesting to watch from that perspective. But I refuse to sit here and be like, this is going to be the fight of the year, kind of, because I know people are already, moving
I think
that.
the hype, it does a good, it's something like people, like, because it's on Netflix, the availability,
right,
everyone's going to watch that shit. It's going to be the talk of the town. It's a huge fucking fight. I wouldn't be surprised if Netflix is dumping like 200 M's on them to do this shit.
Yeah.
Like, in order to get Tyson to do something, it's the money thing.
Yeah.
That's the only way you're going to get him out to do that. So like, yo, Mike, here's 50 mil, fight Jake Paul. Jake, here's 50 mil, fight Mike Tyson.
So that makes me wonder now, because we could do a transition to what we were going to go into a little bit earlier, but now that makes me wonder, with everything moving towards like celebrity boxing, everything going in that direction, you think there's a way, and we talked about it a little bit earlier, you think there's a way you could replace sport with AI?
Nope. No, because here's the thing. It would just be anime at that point. Because anime, you watch anime for these sick fight scenes, right? Like, whenever I watched anime, I'm like, yo, this fight scene is going to be epic.
Right.
But the unpredictability is when someone writes it, it's not the same as like seeing it happen. Sports are great because sometimes the villain wins.
Right.
And you're upset. You're like, fuck, but it's because it's not scripted, it's not written.
I'm thinking like Rocky IV with Drago, right? Where you're like a robot per se.
Yeah.
Could there be a situation where you have boxer or fighter versus robot, athlete, basketball player, track runner versus robot?
But the issue with that is like, depending on how good the robots are, you could just make the robots unbeatable, so they just beat it.
Correct.
It's like watching. They did this with chess. They had chess robots in the early stages. They would make chess robots, and they would have a human play the chess robot.
Yeah.
Because the chess robot could calculate like 100 moves. So they would have humans play chess robots. Depending on like, now their chess robots are unbeatable.
Yeah.
But before it was the spectacles. You're like, yo.
Well, unbeatable?
They're unbeatable now.
Interesting.
Because they can look so deep as far as moves go that a human can't beat it anymore.
Because I'm sure they have situations where if they have grandmasters play chess against one of those robots, because there's certain like athletic activity to where you can't do it.
But now it's just so like deep, it's impossible. Like a good example. Let's say you have like a throwing contest, right? With one of those machines that goes,
right.
That shoots out the balls.
There's no way. Yeah, there's no way. It's almost like in a race, if I just have a robot with not a never-ending battery, but if you're like, if you're a fresh robot, fresh batteries or whatever the case is, you're going to be able to move at a faster miles per hour than a human being will. Because it's almost like you're racing a Tesla. It's a car. There's no way you're going to win in that situation.
I need a piece so bad.
Basketball,
restroom
right?
break.
Yeah, right. So basketball. If you look at a sport like basketball, how would you have a robot versus like a LeBron James or a Steph Curry or something like that? Because I can't say there's a guarantee you'll be able to make the shot, but if you're able to figure out a trajectory of the basketball, then that would work. So a sport like that can make it interesting. Football, not to the same degree, because the strength of the machine, that can be influenced. So I don't think that's something to where it'd be fair. Baseball, to a certain degree, because I think if you're pitching as a human, you can manipulate where the ball will go. So if you have a robot that is swinging, there are ways in which you can get over. So baseball, I think that's one. In boxing or MMA, I don't think there's a way in which that could work in the human's favor, because if you make this robot body so durable to where you're not able to inflict damage and you're hurting yourself more than what you're fighting, then at that point it's unfair. So I guess you can't really have AI there. So basketball, I think it's a possibility. You can have a human versus a robot to where it makes sense. What other sport? No, swimming, it wouldn't be fair.
So here's the reason I think it doesn't work.
Natural exertion. So it depends, because a baseball, I think that it's possible.
But here's the reason I think it doesn't work, because you miss that human element. Why is Kobe so popular? Because Mamba mentality.
Right.
Why is...
No, I'm not saying from an entertainment perspective. I'm just thinking if it's a human versus a artificially enhanced robot, what sports could you still keep the interest to where it's not incredibly unfair? Because you have to do in sports to where there's chance.
Right.
So like football, because of the physical, aspect of the strength, if I make a robot so strong, if you're an offensive lineman, I'm overpowered. You lost.
Yeah.
In track and field, it's racing. So because it's racing, all I have to do is make this robot so incredibly fast you can't win.
Yeah.
Basketball, you have to put the ball into a hoop. So I still have a chance where if I shoot the ball over said robot and the trajectory of the ball, there's still an element of chance.
But if the robot can't miss, because but
the thing is, with me having to physically play defense on like a robot, the robot would have to get around me, or it'd have to like back me down with strength.
What if you were to do? Yeah, so
because you can identify with shooting. Like if it's a 3-point competition, if you have the robot identify the trajectory of the ball, the arc from the location, then it's unfair, right? But if you as a human, like a Steph Curry, and you have a 3-point contest, if we're both shooting from the same distance, all I have to do is not miss. It's not easy, but I at least can still compete. So I'm thinking, what sports would you still be able to compete?
I think it'd be
if you fucking incredibly enhanced it.
I think it would be so one-sided that it wouldn't be fun.
Because you would never be able, because if the robot never misses, you would have to not miss in order to keep up.
Exactly.
So I'm just thinking, what sports would you at least have a chance? Like even in baseball, you can have a robot that can throw a bunch of different like pitches or whatever, because I'm sure there's some unhittable pitches.
Right.
But you still have an element of chance with the swinging of the bat. So I know basketball, you have an opportunity to where you can keep up. Baseball, you have an opportunity. Swimming, because of natural human exertion, there's no fucking way.
Yeah.
Track and field, no way. Football, no way to a certain degree, depending on what you're doing. But the aspect of the game, there's no way.
I think it becomes no fun because it's like, let's say you play a season, robot versus human basketball, and it's like 71-1.
Yeah, it's incredible. Well, 81-1. It'd still be 10 more games. Yeah. But that's just something in my mind, because I was thinking like, man, there's got to be a way, because they're going to make the robots. They're going to make
sports is one of those things where situations. It's like completely. Like you're not producing anything, but you're almost producing content and memories. Sports is a content game. You're just producing it's reality TV. That's literally all sports is, reality TV.
With physical exertion.
That's what makes it interesting.
Yeah. And then speaking of artificial intelligence, this past recently I happened to come across a page. They took what we talked about in like episode 7 or 8.
Episode 7 or 8. What are you talking about?
Influencer. Like we were talking about where AI, like the AI girlfriend and everything of that nature.
David, when we in post, can you put that like a clip in where I'm like, yo, if you want to make money, with AI, do AI girlfriends, because we did talk about this.
Right, we talked about it.
You know what a crazy business model would be? Listen, whoever's watching this, I got a business model idea from you, from the Filipino prince tycoon himself. Here's a great business model, and if no one does it, I'll do it. It should be like AIgirlfriend.com. All it is AI avatar girlfriends run by like ChatGPT on the back end that you program to talk like a girl, right? Like have ChatGPT study 100 hours of women speaking, right? It could be anyone. Then you do like an AI avatar of them, and you let people date these women. You be like, hey, this will be your girlfriend for $97 a month. And all of these losers that are lonely, we're like, yeah, I want a robot AI girlfriend. They'll pay $97 a month to have this beautiful avatar woman talk to them the entire time. And now you just have a computer running the entire thing, and these guys are fucking talking. You have 1,000 dudes talking to these robot girlfriends, and your computer just running in the background, fulfilling everything for them. Boom, $100,000 a month.
A good business model for sure.
Yeah.
Because especially if on the front end, you let the people know, hey, you can have an AI partner. So that there's no deception behind the scenes of, oh, well, you think you're talking to a human, you're not. Yeah. If I tell you up front, hey, for this amount, this is the premium, you can have an AI partner, and they still go and subscribe. I see no harm, no foul. You can't say you were deceived. You can't say you didn't know what was going on.
And then I'm thinking about even the messaging. It's like unlimited messaging. So like, oh my God, unlimited. I get to talk to this AI girlfriend forever. And then you can get real crazy with it, and then you can start making it play games. Like have it wait 2 hours to text back.
Right. You can do a lot. And then the people who have like humiliation kink or whatever, you can have the AI right back.
Yeah.
You know, just degrading things and oh man, that turns me on. I have erection. So the things like that.
You can make the AI be like, oh sorry, I was texting my friend, and then the person's like, you're texting your friend, you're an AI, like getting mad at the AI, yo, bro.
Oh dude, now my mind's running. I guess I had a viral reaction to this page of this AI influencer, right? Absolutely blew my mind because when I saw the page, I said, there's no way this is a human being because who gets invited onto the field dressing, you know, the way that you dress or whatever. But then I went to the page. Of course, AI doesn't know how to work hands, so I knew it was fake. But I went and I checked out the link in the bio and they had a Patreon. At the time, it was 204 individuals who are paid members. Right now, it's 273 at the time of the taping.
What the fuck?
People are paying to see premium AI photos of this individual. And what's blowing my mind is in the comment section, there are people who, despite the fact that it's out in the open, it's one thing if you were lying that you were actual AI. Yeah. In the bio, it says it's artificial intelligence. The post may not say it, but anybody with a brain, do the due diligence, you know it's not real.
What happens is people see that, they say artificial, they think, oh, she has fake boobs.
Oh my God.
They don't realize. So,
how dumb are people?
Because people are not like, believe it or not, AI is not a commonplace thing. I know it sounds really common to us because we're in the industry.
Right.
So when we talk about AI, we're kind of like, we know what it is. There are people out there that are so old or lost that they don't realize like AI is a thing. So they see pictures of this AI influencer and they think it's a real fucking girl.
Yeah.
And like, show me your thing. I went on there. I went on her page. I seen the comment. The top comment was like, I didn't know that I could fall in love with AI. Does AI have OnlyFans?
Right.
I'm like, holy shit,
incredible. Because people are willing to pay a premium to see something that's not real. And I remember you messaged me like, oh, isn't that the same thing that happens with like animated, you know, adult films? Is that the same thing with like hentai or whatever? But not necessarily, because at least in the situation in which you're watching hentai, you don't believe they're real people. Right. Like if they have a Dragon Ball Z, recipes of Akira Toriyama, but if you had like a Dragon Ball Z hentai kind of film or Inuyasha hentai or something of that nature, you know those are not real people. Right. It seems as if in these people's minds, there's an illusion that this is a real person when they're not, and it's openly showed that he's not. So how is it that somebody would be willing to pay? Because I am completely against like paying for adult content. I just don't get it. But they're not even real. Insane.
I think what it is though, it's almost like, well, real people don't like me. Maybe the cartoon will like me because it's a cartoon. Like there's a level of like, now when it's a real person, this is untouchable. They're gonna ignore me. They just want my money. But this cartoon really loves me because it doesn't exist.
It's like the AI girlfriend and all the other stuff.
AI girlfriends. So they pay like, and what would be even crazier if this person, I don't know how Patreon works. You have a Patreon, I don't know, but if they could make it so they like, hey, you pay and you get to talk to me on.
I think there's like animated responses and stuff. So that's how like OnlyFans managers, you know, that's how they make their money on OnlyFans.
If they can talk to the AI girlfriends, imagine having 10 of these pages. Like there's another business idea for whoever heard the first business idea and made this page. Have fucking like 20 of those.
Right.
Go and make 20 AI girlfriend pages at 273. Let's say it's $10 a pop. You're making $3,000 a month from this one AI page.
Right.
So imagine you have 10 of them, you're making $30,000, $40,000 a month just running AI girlfriends.
And you wouldn't feel guilty because if this page is able to have, AI. It says artificial intelligence, I'm not a real person, and people are still willing to pay. I think that eliminates the guilt portion of it all. And what blows my mind is they're an influencer. So you're artificial intelligence influencer. How can you be an influencer? Who are you influencing to where they're sitting here like, oh, I want to buy this product because this is not real. I can't even say this human being. This created entity. Yeah. It's like in the Mission Impossible character. It's the entity. How are people now, because I don't think influencers, and I asked earlier, do you think influencers can be replaced by way of AI? I think on the floor for like advertising brands to a certain degree, you don't need that human to actually physically wear it. You can just have made up page or whatever. Right. But I think the human element is what separates, I guess. Well,
because an influencer, right? The point of an influencer, hey, I want to be like this person, or I look up to this person. Right. If it's an AI, doesn't matter what they, like the allure of, let's say I post a picture from my penthouse. Yeah. The allure is, hey, this guy was broke, he worked really hard,
and you were capable of actually achieving it. Right.
I can do that too. I look up to that. If an AI posts a picture from a penthouse, it's like, okay, but this is like you just created this.
Right.
They didn't do this, so the attachment is not there.
Right. It's a green screen within an actual
100%.
Right. It's a reverse kind of situation.
It like, because of that, because it's fake, because they didn't have to work for it, people don't attach to that. So I don't think influencers get replaced. I think pretty girls, if you're a pretty girl influencer, you're getting replaced at some point.
Right, especially if you're relatively basic. I think if you're
I
think if you're incredibly basic, if you're somebody who actually, I don't want to say actually has talent per se,
right,
but if you have a personality to where people will come to your page not only for your looks but who you are, then you'll be able to survive. But if you're the bare minimum, hey, just look at my looks or whatever, it's over for you.
This is why YouTube is probably the best platform, because you can't fake the funk on YouTube. You can't be a pretty girl and just be viral on YouTube. I mean, maybe you can, but it's not going to be as easy.
It doesn't last as long.
Because you have to talk.
Yeah, the lifetime value of it doesn't last, because soon enough people are going to say, what else are you?
They do have AI video now.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes, because if someone could write a good enough, compelling enough script that this AI video can talk through.
Right.
That's where it gets a little scary.
It's going to be interesting. And I saw another page, and I'm probably going to have to do a video reaction to it too, where it was like with a mobile kind of AI video generated of, like, it was a girl who, it was like a made up Asian girl doing like a dance, and clearly it wasn't a real person, but they didn't specify artificial, influence or whatever the case is. And I remember looking at it like, yo, wait a minute. And I looked in the comments and it was the same kind of situation, but I guess there could be a mystique of this not being a real, person, but you don't know.
Let's read these comments live right here.
I was just so blown away that this was an actual, page, and people were falling for this.
They posted, it said, "Thank you so much for 20K followers, extremely humbled," and just posted a bunch of like pictures.
Oh wow, they got up to 38.5 thousand. Jesus Christ.
Let me read these comments for you. Looks like AI. No shit.
Right.
Nice pics. Awesome heart face emoji. I would always recognize a beautiful woman like you wherever I go in the looks and smiles of the people I meet on the street. What the fuck? Diamond, gorgeous entertainment Tonight Star of the Week model. This is an AI profile, dangerous stuff. Someone said totally gorgeous. Beautiful. Oh my God, super beautiful and divine. Beautiful. What the fuck, bro?
There's another one on this happy St. Patrick's Day. Wow, is that all natural? Somebody responds, that's AI. What? I didn't know. Another person commented, is this a real person? Somebody had to tell them no. It's like people's natural due diligence doesn't exist once they see something relatively attractive.
This guy said, damn, you look amazing. And look at who the fuck it is. Damn, you look amazing.
Yeah, that's the same dude who said, and he commented on multiple different posts. It's like, are you just willfully not seeing that this isn't a real person? Like this AI girl comment, let's break a sweat. You're not a real human being. There is no sweat. And somehow you have responses saying this artistic hairstyle suits you very well. In fact, everything about you is beautiful and charming. How? You're not a real person.
Again, people are just so disconnected with AI, they don't know what it is.
Wait a minute. Now, somebody responded and said, bro, she's not real. Her pics are computer-generated images. That same person who said your hairstyle fits you so well said, what about the business on Patreon? Is that fake too? It's like you refuse to accept that it's not a real person, so you psyop and convince yourself this is a real person, so you dig deep down the rabbit hole. Some people are fucked, man.
Again, when people say AI, they don't know what AI is. To them, it's like Chinese, so they're just kind of like, well, don't ever. She's real to me. Don't call her not real.
It's still real to me, damn it. But it gets to the point where how many people are, because you would assume it's a small percentage, but I now wonder to myself, how many people can fall for something like this to where they're also willing to pay? Because like if you look at OnlyFans, you always ask yourself, who is paying? How are a great deal of the girls who you see all flourishing on OnlyFans? This makes no sense. It's the same people getting multiple different, supporting multiple different people.
Some guys that are just super lonely.
Right.
They have a specific budget just for OnlyFans.
Just for OnlyFans.
Because there's a lot of dudes that, let's say they're a fucking, I don't know, like a janitor or something. I hate to clown on the janitors.
Yeah, it's like double down on the janitor, right? Right, keep doubling down on the janitors.
So there's a janitor. There's a janitor, right? I give him $100 because I'm like, hey man, you're doing a great job. Appreciate you. Give him $100. He goes home, spends that $100 on OnlyFans. So that's like the craziest part. There's a lot of guys and this is what's fucked up with society now. There's nothing wrong with being a janitor. Right. If you're a janitor, you're working hard. Me and David talked about it earlier. I mean, this all kind of goes full circle. I don't think there's anything wrong with a guy that doesn't make a lot of money as long as he's a hard worker. But But the issue is because of social media and the perception of the world, no girl wants that shit.
Right.
If you tell a girl, I'm a janitor, she don't want that. They want to be with ballers. They want to be with celebrities because there's cool jobs, quote unquote, now.
And it's an image, the status.
There's so many people that do cool shit now.
Right.
Oh, my man does this. I see it all the time with my wife's single friends. Oh, what does your man do? And because I have this kind of like setup, she's like, oh, like she could take pride in it.
Right.
These other girls, now the bar is set.
They
to
don't
like,
have the status symbol from who they're with based off what they do.
They don't want to date a guy like, oh, he's a janitor.
And then it devalues that type of job.
So now
like
they see
even with
these guys.
blue collar work where you make a good, like if you're
construction worker,
right, you could be a construction worker, you could be a plumber, you could be doing electrician, you could be in HVAC and all this other stuff. You can make a well, I hate the term six figures, but you can make a little bit over 100,000, or you can make upwards of 200,000 doing it. But because it doesn't sound sexy, it gets because of that
now,
stigmatized. It's
all these girls, they don't date these guys. They're like kind of like starved for women attention, and because of that, these guys have resorted to like OnlyFans is their only outlet. The only way they get to talk to girls is by spending money on OnlyFans.
Right. So it's almost pay to play. But then still, at least in that case, and it's a cope, unfortunately, those are real humans. Even if you're not even responding or being responded to by the actual girl, it's a team of dudes who's managing and sending automated messages. It still feels the need. My whole thing with this artificial joint is it's not even a real person.
Right.
So even if you're interacting through DM, it's already showcased on the front end. I'm not a real human being. I am a computer-generated, entity. Because I can't say it's a computer-generated human being because that would make you a robot, and that's not what a human being is.
But that's kind of where it heads,
it's just absolutely wild to me. And I'm curious how far down the line this will go. And a piece of me is tempted to figure out, the software or whatever it is that they utilize.
Midjourney.
They could just do something of that nature and make a page like this and see how fast.
We should do it. We should start this AI girlfriends company. Come full circle with that too, because we could start it. It's something we could definitely build. We'll build a website. It's almost like a virtual whorehouse, but we'll have like a AIgirlfriends.com. It'll still be a thing. We'll do the AI girlfriends. We'll fucking make like 10 of these pages.
Right.
David will handle all the Midjourney because he's good at that. He'll make all the girlfriends. We handle all of them. We'll promote it. I just feel bad promoting it, but we'll figure it out.
No. But the thing is, if you are transparent from the beginning, these are not real people.
Yeah, but it's against my message, though. You'd be like, hey, guys.
Correct.
I'm teaching you to be excellent.
Correct.
Be great, man. Find a woman, get married.
Right.
But if you're not.
Yep.
Listen,
and that's where the moral portion of it all.
That's where I cast a wide net because I'm like, listen, I always tell you be excellent, but in case you just don't want to listen to me, here's AIgirlfriends.com.
Right.
Get yourself an AI girlfriend.
In a situation like that, I guess that kind of alleviates the blow of my morals, because if you're transparent from the beginning, this is what the situation is. There is no sort of ambiguity whatsoever. If you go into this and you're like, I didn't know this wasn't a real person. How,
bro?
At every single opportunity, I let you know this is not a real human being. How are you falling for that?
But it's almost like feeding. It's a great example. Hey, these drugs are bad.
Exactly.
But if you want them, get them.
That's one of the things where you're like, damn, this is brutal.
You're taking these drugs. I'm telling you, these drugs are bad.
Right.
If you want, they're bad, but if you want them, it's almost like, I don't want to be part of that fucking issue.
Exactly. That's where I have this internal battle. There's a catch-22. I'm thinking the antithesis of what I actually believe in. I'm sitting over here like, all right, do I have a bit of cognitive dissonance here? Because I'm looking at it like, all right, this is terrible.
But that's just proof that there's you can make money doing anything.
Exactly.
We're going back to what we talked about fucking 13 episodes ago. Like, people David's looking at it right now.
Yeah.
It's
craziness.
You can literally make money. It's free to start an Instagram account. It's free to make little AI pictures.
Yep.
You can make money doing anything, bro.
This is just, it's incredible that there are individuals who are absolutely falling.
It's like this.
And what's crazy about it is AI still can't make hands. There's a bunch of
broken hands on there.
Display of the photos. It's just so ridiculous. And there's somebody who just got, I wish you were real, but she's not.
Holy shit, bro.
Man, I don't know.
The craziest part is I feel like this is pulling from something. There's girls that look like this.
Absolutely, because there has to be something that you model it after. Like if you remember a couple of years back where they said this is what the human being will look like.
She's gorgeous and beautiful.
In like 10 years. And I think it looked like I forget who the girl was, but it's just one of those situations where I scratch my head trying to figure it out. Like we're gonna have the B-roll run of all these damn comments so you guys can see how wild it is.
This is so funny. Look at
we
this.
might just run a case study just to see where it goes, bro.
Old dudes too. Look
yeah,
this guy.
Absolutely falling for it. Absolutely falling. You're taking advantage of the mentally ill and then also the elderly as well, or the very young and naive.
Beauty and youthful with a great aura. Holy fuck! Oh,
but what blows my mind is you have to be able to have generated enough income to want to keep paying a stipend or a premium to go and view these types of stuff. Like you have to earn money in order to go pay for these
the way it works though, right? Is like these people that are doing it. They're not like
no, not the people who are doing it. The people who are paying.
That's what I'm saying. The people that are paying, like I was looking through it. It's all like freaking old men. It's all like 40, 50-year-old old men.
Right.
They probably have like some blue collar job somewhere, right? Making some money. Starve for that attention. They just use it towards that. Society is getting in a weird fucking place, bro.
And I'm just curious because I've been saying for years. I'm just curious when things will correct itself.
I doubt it
because it has to happen. It has to happen. It's just a matter of when.
I don't think it corrects itself. Here's why. Because you can never fight human nature in the same way that like women are always going to want the dude that's like
hypergamy exists. Right.
They're always going to want to do in shape, rich, like cool job, something they can be proud of. You know, they're always going to want that. They're never going to want to. They're no matter what point you're at, you're never going to take pride in like, hey, my husband is a cashier. You're never going to take pride in that. So for a woman, it gets difficult. And then what happens too, right? It's almost like a natural thing. So all the guys that are ballers, they take like all the prettiest girls. So the girls that are mid,
because the women they're chasing after the 10% of dudes, right?
The girls that are mid are now taking up these guys that, let's say you don't have like a job. Let's say you're a banker at Chase or something, right? The girls that are mid are now getting these guys because they're like, okay, maybe I'm not gonna get a baller or an entrepreneur or a famous person, but I can get like this guy at Chase. Now those girls that are mid that would normally go for the guys that are like janitors and stuff, they're not there anymore, and the guys at the bottom, they're left kind of with nothing. Right. And because of that, it just becomes like a fucking crazy snowball effect. I don't think there's any way to fix it with social media. No.
Social media is only going to make it worse. That's why I think that there'll come a point in which things have to correct itself, but it's a matter of how and what has to be done. Because it's just gotten to a point now where it seems like every single day it's just getting wilder.
I think one way it corrects itself, I just don't know how this would happen because men are not like that. If men stop sleeping around, because if you're a guy and you got 10 women, 10 girls that you're dating, and you stop sleeping around, you pick one, then those other 9 women have to find someone else.
Right, and ultimately because it is super unrealistic. Because if you're a dude who worked, so incredibly hard to become so desirable, and now they chase you rather than you chase them, of course you're gonna want your pick of the litter. So with that naturally being the case, you almost have to. If everybody went to one person, there's millions upon millions of women who would still be unselected, unchosen, and ultimately die, alone. There are some who have no issue with it, but they are the exception to the rule.
Women, I think will always be fine. No matter what, if you're a woman, doesn't matter.
Because there's always going to be somebody who is pursuing. So it works. But there's going to have to come a point to where things correct itself.
Changing.
But I don't know when.
There was an interview. Dan Bilzerian.
Oh yeah, he flipped. He
was like, you know what, man? As crazy as it sounds, like, I think like I kind of like agree with monogamy more than the crazy thing. But I think that's a natural progression for every guy, and they reach that point at some point. Yeah. Like, it doesn't matter if you're old. Like, Dan Bilzerian, he's probably like 40 something now. So it took him a while to get there. He's got to be like late 30s,
early 40s, right?
But like every guy does that because every guy goes through a phase where they just want to sleep with a bunch of girls.
Right. And even the women who try to emulate the lifestyle of a guy, because at the end of the day, women naturally don't want to have to just sleep with a bunch of people. You want to sleep with the same person, bunch of different, particular time. You just want the best, individuals. Hence why, as time moves forward, those who have been out there end up saying, you know what, if I could just get that one guy. And then dudes, as they age, say, you know what, if I could just get that one girl. So naturally, monogamy makes sense. But because you become somebody who is so desirable to where you have all of different options, you're gonna want to explore it. And then once it gets old and played out, like this isn't very fun, it starts to feel like a very empty existence because everybody is replaceable. So when you find somebody who's not replaceable and they desire you, it feels like 10 women for one.
Yeah, man.
So overall, it's wild. It's interesting.
Why do you think he flipped? I'm happy he flipped because, like, here's the thing. There's a bunch of guys as, like, almost not irrelevant, but as far as his buzz has died down, there's still a lot of guys that are like, damn, Bilzerian's my GOAT. He's my king.
Right.
I will follow him into battle. Like,
because they're not able to live that life.
So for him to flip like that,
right,
it means a lot, because now all these guys are like, damn,
because of the influence.
Dan's doing monogamy, I'm gonna do monogamy. But it's cool to have one woman.
They'll just move to the next person who's living that life because they've never lived it. I think the people who have weird. Options
but
will understand.
Name an influencer now, like a dude that's like relatively cool, that's posting a bunch of girls. I personally, the more I look around, maybe it's just because now I don't really follow any of these guys.
Right.
So I just don't see it. But from my perspective, all of these guys that have a bunch of girls, they're all kind of like, even all these guys that are winners, like, right, that could do it, they all have like one girl, they're married, like they're making marriage cool again.
Right. Or if you have a main girl and then a bunch of sides, the sides are so different from the main that you still would look at it like, hey, he may not be monogamous per se, but he has like that, lack of better term, the bottom bitch who is, ultimately the main thing to where it makes sense. Because at the end of the day, you can be somebody who has all of these particular options. It gets played out. I think the dudes who emulate or wish that they lived that life, they never had options. Like, you always want to be able to sleep with a shit ton of girls until you end up sleeping with a shit ton of girls. And then it's like, all right, this was cool, but the red pill is like played out.
Because the red pill went like this, right?
Right. It goes down because it gets to a point where it's like, this shit is old, bro. It's old. Like, how many times, everybody always said, man, the best pussy is always the new one. Okay, great. Soon enough, it gets to a point where like, yeah, I've done this for quite some time. It's not really as fulfilling.
I think because of like the space that we're in, people start to like want marriage because they see how happy marriage could be.
Right.
Because I'm noticing that
when done right.
With my brand, I used to post just a lot of girls, right? I'll go on trips, post like a picture with like 7 girls. And that was what would trend.
Yeah.
As I get older, it starts to become lame because it's like, bro, it's lame. And I think my personal brand has had a resurgence because I got married, I'm having a daughter. Because now a lot of people that comment, right, they're like, hey man, you lost me a little bit. Well, I started following you when I was younger. You lost me a little bit, but then now, like with your new, it's like almost like a rebrand. That rebrand is a fresh look, and they like it more.
Right, because ultimately that's what you desire, is that healthy family dynamic. Because oftentimes, whenever you seek that out, like that excess per se, your upbringing is a little bit different. Right. Because it's either out of rebellion or it's out of just yearning for something. It's never like, I don't want to say it's never not a natural curiosity, because it's birthed from the same, type of thing. But overall, I think more often than not, people desire to just have that core family unit that they're searching for. But there's a high that comes from the options that once you've explored that, you say, okay. And sometimes people can get out of it unscathed. I think other times they can have a bad time.
I think understanding you have options gives you peace when you settle, because you're not. They just in the word, it's wrong. Settling is the wrong word.
It's not settling. Yeah.
It's like almost like choosing.
Right.
I'm choosing to start a family. I'm choosing to get married. I'm settling for a family. Settle is the wrong word because people think, settling is a bad thing. You're settling, but being able to choose gives you peace.
Exactly.
Because now you're like, I'm doing this by choice, not because I have to.
Right. And I think ultimately there's a misconception with options, because options is determined upon what the intent is. Right. I think too often people say, I have a bunch of options. You just have a bunch of options who want to sleep with you, or options that you want to sleep with. Who are those individuals who actively want to start and create and cultivate a life together, a legacy together? Right. More often than not, the people are pursuing your resources, or you're just pursuing their bodies. There's a misconception where like there's a ton of girls who'll be like, man, I could have anybody tomorrow. No, those dudes only want to sleep with you.
You can sleep with anybody you want.
You can sleep with anybody.
It's usually opposite for girls and guys, right?
It's completely opposite. But then the issue with the dude is you have a bunch of women who simply want access to your resources. They'll give you a baby or whatever, but they only love you for what you can give them.
Exactly.
They don't love you for you. So it's a misconception in the mind. They don't love
you at all.
Exactly. So with that being the case, you have to have your mind, or I should say your head, screwed on the correct way to where you have that understanding, because a lot of people are caught up in that damn illusion.
I think that comes from like not being like calibrated enough socially. So you don't really understand love. Right. You assume because a girl's nice to you, she loves you, but you don't look at the underlying motives there. You don't look at like kind of, there's certain things. When guys say like, girls are crazy, I think it's a good thing. There's a weird, here's my take out on this.
Okay.
When guys say, she's crazy, I think it's a good thing, and depending on what it is. If a girl is crazy because like you didn't want to buy her something and she fucking flips on you, that's crazy in the wrong way. But when a girl's crazy, like a good example, right? I always thought it was crazy. Like for me when I was younger, if I always thought girls were crazy, if let's say I liked another girl's picture and a girl got mad at me, I was like, you're fucking crazy.
Right.
But the more I like grow older and get into that, when I see that, it's kind of like, well, the reason she doesn't want you liking other girls' pictures because she's scared to lose you,
right,
because you're showing interest in another girl. And to some people, it might not even be as deep. It's like, okay, it's not that deep, but the underlying motive there is because she loves you so much, she doesn't want to lose you.
Right.
And that craziness, it's almost like a good thing because you know that that person loves you. Now, you could do the opposite test. Hey, I'm not going to buy you this. If they're crazy about that, it's like, okay, well, they want you for something else. They're like, okay, it's fine.
Right. Okay, I get you. I get you.
You can almost use the craziness as a gauge to see like what do you care about? What matters the most to you?
Right. It's almost like shit testing, somebody to identify what the intention is. Because I think a lot of people, they don't date with intention.
Right.
And they themselves aren't too sure what it is that they're looking for. So oftentimes they say, she could just go play the field, figure out what it is that you like. When people say play the field, they don't say, just go and sleep with everybody. You should just have an idea of what it is that you're looking for. What do you like in somebody? What are you able to provide, the opposite party and everything, to where now you know what you can offer. Because I think a lot of times where if you were to look at it from a business perspective, what's your offer? If your offer is shit, you're not going to make any money. Right. So the same thing with dating. If your offer is shit, you're never going to be in a relationship that's worth a damn.
Relationships are super tricky because they're power dynamics. Life period is power dynamics. Business, it's a power dynamic. Relationships, it's a power dynamic.
Yep.
Like if you look at guys and girls, right? Women, if a girl knows she can do better, I have a friend and he was talking about like how there was a girl and a guy, she could have done way better, and the guy was super controlling because of it. Because he's like, he doesn't want her to leave, so he's super controlling because he doesn't want his girl to leave him.
Right.
That power dynamic never works because then she's like, well, I could do better, and she just fucking upgrades. Right. Leaves. So it's always a power dynamic. If you're a girl, and this is why I always tell guys, hey, make a lot of money, get in shape. Don't let that relationship weight hit you, because relationship weight is the devil, bro.
Right.
The second, like, your girl could be like, yeah, I want you to gain weight, blah blah blah. It's so now your options are limited.
Right.
But if a guy stays in shape, he's good looking.
You keep yourself desirable. The same thing that was able to have, attract her to you is still very attractive to other women.
That power dynamic is there.
That keeps the person in check. Similar to where with the woman,
checks and balances.
You keep yourself exactly where you were. Not to say that you don't mentally grow, but you keep yourself physically attractive enough to be like, hey, listen, you're desirable elsewhere, to where you keep yourself in check.
It's a power dynamic.
There should be a checks and balances within the relationship. When people let themselves go, it's a terrible situation.
The second, because people think that once they get in the relationship, that's it.
Right.
The work is done. No, the work just began.
It just began.
And now it's a matter of like you work into.
And furthermore, is down the line, let's just say you're able to endure 20 years. And I don't want to say endure, like, oh man, it's been a terrible time. But you go 20 years together with a person. You've started a family. All the children were like born within the same time period. I think 25 years would be a better, dynamic, because sometimes you could have a kid that's like 7 years older than the other. So let's just say you go 25 years, you got a few kids or whatever the case is. The kids have now left. They've left the nest. They've moved out or whatever. They may be away at college or something of that nature. Now it's just you and your spouse. 25 years later from now, if you keep yourself in shape, you have your finances in order, all this other stuff, you can enjoy that period of time doing not necessarily the same shit you would have done when you were younger, but you're capable of doing it. If you both have physically let yourself go to where, let's just say you're 100 plus pounds more heavier than you are, there's certain activity that you can no longer do, and parts of life that you may have used to enjoy that you're physically unable to. You didn't grow out of it. You're simply incapable of doing it. I think there's a ton of those things that have to be kept, in place per se. So it's a ton of different things, man. Yeah, it's a ton of different things, man.
It's weird because I think with this podcast, we analyze the world a lot, right? We analyze like how relationships work, how people work, the dynamics. We take a deep dive in like all of the stuff, how money works, et cetera, et cetera. I think a curiosity is literally what makes people successful.
Right.
Wanting to understand things. Because when you understand things, you know how to change it.
Right.
But when you don't understand anything, it's kind of like you're just allowing life to pass you by. Because I do it all the time, and I catch myself. as people, we want to save energy. We don't want to like look like the saying. I say it all the time. It's not that deep.
Right.
It's not that deep. Like certain things. Hey, listen, it's not that deep. But most things are that deep. How does money work? How did they get money for that building?
Right.
It's that fucking deep. Figure out how they got money for that building.
Right.
Figure out how they made money with that. Mm-hmm. Figure out all of this stuff. Right now, there's a crypto. Are you in crypto at all?
No, I am out. So but I will buy back in once the things go down.
I got a lot of money in Dogecoin, as embarrassing as it is to say.
There is a hysteria that it might just mess around and jump back up because Bitcoin passed 70,000 for the first time, and it's gonna be going, up and down and things of that nature. But I know with stuff like that, if people can figure out how that stuff works, educate yourself on different particular kind of skills, just have the willingness, like you said, with curiosity to want to learn about a bunch of shit.
Part of the reason I'm in the Dogecoin is because I started studying all this stuff recently. I've lost money the past couple years in crypto. This is my third try at it because I've obviously been doing research, and it's always the same pattern of like this type of thing. Mm-hmm. So this time I got in at a good point, to the point where I invested a sizable amount of money, 5 figures, into fucking Dogecoin. Ridiculous. But if it does what it's been doing the past 7-8 years,
right,
I'll make a lot of money. I'll go from 5 to 6 figures with that.
Right. Because I have all of my money is in Rumble right now, which I'm curious because depending on like the presidential race, because now with the conservatives, they're going to have like exclusive streams. So I know that market will grow. I don't have to be, because I don't give a shit about politics whatsoever. Right. But knowing that there's an appeal with that particular app, I can just kind of sit here and watch as the race is going, just to see the growth in the stock and see what that's like. But I know with crypto, that'll be the next play, to where now, because there's a ton of people who went, and if you bought into Bitcoin and you watch it grow to 70, you could either still sit there, wait, hold, but depending on where you are in life, because there's a couple of people who posted on Instagram where their portfolio is at right now, where you've got 10 million, you've got 5 million, you got people who would become millionaires just off of Bitcoin if they sold now. Some may hold because their trajectory is like Bitcoin will hit 6 figures within the next 2 years, 3 years, or whatever the case is. So if you do have enough active income to where you can sit and wait, you can let that portfolio continue to appreciate, sell, fucking retire based off what you were able to grow there. So there's a lot of different ways. Just learn how the market works.
If you understand, not even the market, just understand everything, bro.
Right.
It all comes down to understand. It all comes down to understanding, like, hey, how does this work? Like, why does money go down? People don't realize this. The stock market is just it's a poker game.
Right.
But people don't realize that. They think the stock market's some fucking mystical, like, fugazi thing. It's not. It's a fucking poker game. When a lot of people buy the stock, the stock goes up.
Right.
When a lot of people sell the stock, the stock goes down. Why are people buying the stock? Because the company goes up in value.
Right.
Or all the stocks are pegged to a company. So you're buying a Rumble stock, you're betting that the company Rumble will grow as a company.
Right.
And you're buying stock because of that. Now, there is market manipulation. If I go and I'm a whale and I sell a bunch of Rumble stock, that shit's gonna go down.
Right.
I'm betting on you. Now, because you see it get down, you get scared, you sell all your stocks, then I go and buy it back.
Right.
Because now you're stuck holding the bag.
Right.
So that's literally how the stock market works, any sort of financial instrument. There's winners and losers.
Right.
That money doesn't come out of thin air. Like when you make money on a stock, let's say I make $100,000 on Dogecoin, right? That's because when I sell it, there's someone buying it.
Right.
So now it's like I bought in at, right now it's like 13 cents. Let's say it goes up to $1 and I sell at $1, someone gets caught at the top.
Right, somebody's gonna buy in late. Yeah, that's what happened, because I bought in before it was like a fraction of a penny.
Right.
Sold way early when it made to like 7 cents, and then it started stalemating. Bought back in at 8 cents when it grew up to 70. I think I sold at like 63. So I made a decent amount. I think the total I ever made off of Doge maybe like 6,000 back in like 2020, 2021, around that time. But had I kept my original position to when it was a fraction of a cent and then sold at 7, I would have cleared 5, because I had a ton of Doge, positions, because at the time I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I just looked at it, that's a funny name. Let me just throw some, like a few hundred in there, and then it went crazy. So
when you sold, someone bought it.
Somebody bought,
caught that knife.
There's people who jumped into Bitcoin once it passed 70, like, oh my God, look at the trajectory. And now Bitcoin's probably, I think, at like 66. Yeah. So if they got cold feet and they're not actually in it for the game, you'll take that loss. Take that loss.
The issue is these big boys, they know what's happening. They're like, yo, watch this. Look at all these fuckers that are buying it. Watch this.
Yep.
They click a button. They liquidate $1 billion in Bitcoin.
Yep.
They take $1 billion at 73 $1,000 what they bought for like 25. It goes down. Everyone panics. Oh my God, no! I invested my $2,000, and it's gonna go to zero. So they'll sell it, and their 2,000 will become 500. The people that sold at the top have taken that $1,500.
Right, and they buy right back in,
and then they're like, oh, they
get you.
Yeah, we sold. It went down. Everyone panicked. They all started selling. Let's go buy back in now. It goes.
Yep. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. It's an amazing situation. But we hope you took something away from this conversation and have the curiosity to educate yourself about a bunch of different things, and do not fall victim to these AI influences. Be smart. Don't be stupid. Be smart.
Stupid.
Don't be stupid.
Listen, if you fall victim to an AI influencer, it's probably because I got 12 AI influencers working around the clock as we speak, making me some money. They're on the corner right now.
Yeah.
Printing that moolah, the crypto corner, the digital corner right now.
We are the pimps.
Prospecting.
We are the pimps, not
I'm an
named
AI
Slickback.
pimp.
Yeah, big pimps. AI pimps. AI pimp.
It doesn't feel. It's not bad me saying AI pimp, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah, because like a real pimp, that's like kind of sucks. But like AI pimp, I'm pimping some code, baby.
Fair enough. Developing pimps. That's what this episode was about. But one way or another, ladies and gentlemen, I am the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual, the chiseled Adonis. He is a serial entrepreneur, the Filipino Prince Tycoon, Rene Lacard. And this is We Are Assiduous. You kept up there. You kept up there. Good job.
I got it this time, bro. Listen, I've been doing this. I've been around the block a couple times. How long have we been doing the podcast?
Wait, you've been around the block, but you're also an AI pimp. So you're pimping yourself as well? Oh my.
Guess who's putting their butthole to use, ladies and gentlemen?